Hello everyone, this is Fivo Mystery Cases. Today we will talk about the Otto Warmbier case. Did you know that North Korea has always been a mysterious country? Why? Let me tell you a quick story. At the end of 2015, an American college student signed up a 5-day tour to North Korea. But after 1.5 years, he was released from a North Korean prison in a vegetative state. 1 week after being taken back to the United States, he passed away at home. The question is, what did he experience in North Korea under the complete closure of the Kim regime? Information outside cannot be accessed, nor can the information inside. In the past, many people thought that North Korea was synonymous with backwardness and poverty. But as North Korea began to receive some foreign tourists in recent years, tourists who went there also photographed the bright side of North Korea. The clean and spacious streets, dressed in fashionable women, seen too in other countries are not very different. But there is also a saying that the reason why tourists can capture such a bright side of North Korea is completely because the North Korean government can effectively isolate tourists from local residents. In other words, what tourists see is not necessarily the real-life status of the North Korean people. According to BBC reports, as of 2015, North Korea only has 3.2 million registered for use in an individual part and the 25 million, which means an average of 9 people share a phone. Not only that, the Jin regime's control of people's thoughts, words, and deeds can be said to have penetrated into all aspects of life. There are posters everywhere on the streets that show the North Korea's solidarity and promotion of the king's family. When ordinary people name their children, they absolutely cannot be the same name as the leader of North Korea. If the child had used this name before the leader was born, then the name should be changed after the leader used this name. The law stipulates that public places such as schools and prisons must hang portraits of Kim Sung-tu and Kim Jong-tu, the father and son, as they call the son. It has been emphasized in textbooks since childhood that the merits of the father and son of the Jin family absolutely do not allow citizens to criticize or insult them in any form. The North Korean people's worship of king and his son can be said to be almost lunatic. They believe that the king and his son are peerless heroes and the embodiment of human wisdom. When Kim Jong-tu died in December 11, the whole country was mourning in despair. In a documentary of the BBC, foreign media once visited Kim Sung University and interviewed a female student inside and asked her about it. They asked if she can go online. Her answer is yes. Many of us has to use the internet, go on Google to search and look up to anything. In North Korea, without if it's even allowed to go on Google to search for things you needed to know. The reporter came to the computer room of Kim Sung University, which also confirmed his suspicions. The reporter tried to log in into the BBC's official website, which showed that the access was blocked. Of course, it does not rule out that the Western media deliberately discredited North Korea. These reports have some untrue or exaggerated elements. It is because of more people. North Korea used to be a country I really wanted to travel, and today's story's protagonist, Otto, is also a person who is curious about this mysterious country. Otto Warmbier was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, United States in December 12, 1994. He's the eldest son in the family. His father, Fred Warmbier, is a metal processing company owner. In 2015, Fred also topped the Forbes magazine and is a very successful businessman, while his mother's name is Cindy. Otto also has a younger brother, Austin, and a younger sister, Greta. In 2013, Otto was admitted to Wyoming High School with the second place in the class. After graduating from high school, he entered the University of Virginia. His major is a double degree in business and economics, and a minor is global sustainable development. In the eyes of friends, Otto's personality is cheerful and optimistic, and the results are very good since he was a football star. When graduating from high school, Otto also spoke on behalf of the school's teachers and students at the graduation ceremony. As we prepare to leave Wyoming High school, it feels like saying goodbye to a close friend in a literal sense. As many of us will move far away and not come back for a long time. No matter where we go or what we do though, we will always have this group. This is a part of Otto's speech on the ceremony. He is such a handsome guy and with a bright future, but all this was ruined by a wrong decision he made. By the end of December 2015, when Otto is still in third year at university, he was called by a young pioneer tourist travel agency to set a North Korean New Year's Eve trip to spend a special New Year. The Young Pioneers Travel Agency has a travel slogan, "Destinations your mother would rather you stay away from." They focus on doing unconventional tourist destinations such as North Korea. The travel agency claims that such travel is very adventurous, and it is precisely because it attracts a large number of young people from Western countries. Otto participated in this trip together with other 10 US citizens, and basically all foreigners who travel to North Korea will stay in Pyongyang, the most luxurious international hotel in Githorn. The hotel is located in Saedong River Crucians on the island, covers an area of 10 square meters with a total construction area of 9 square meters, high altitude of 70, and a total of 47 layers and almost 1,000 of different levels of suite. The high-rise suites offer a panoramic view of Pyongyang, but these are not the most important. The only connection between the Yangkakdo International Hotel and Pyongyang is the Yakakdo Bridge. The North Korean military sent people to guard the bridge 24 hours a day, and tourists on the island were not allowed to go out at will, which effectively separated local residents from foreign tourists. There are a total of 8 elevators for guests in this hotel, and all elevators will jump directly from the 4th floor to the 6th floor, which means that there is a mysterious 5th floor that is forbidden for tourists. But in fact, some tourists with strong curiosity went to the 5th floor while the guide did not pay attention to the climbing the stairs. You can also find some photos on the 5th floor online, but the 5th floor looks like a derelict warehouse, which is very mysterious. Various propaganda posters were affixed to the walls, some of which stated that our general was number 1, and some that stated that imperialism in the United States was a centuries-old enemy, and so on. A traveler who secretly arrived on the 5th floor and was chased by the guards found a small staircase on the 5th floor. After going up the small staircase, there was a mezzanine, which means that there may be another secret space on the 5th floor. It was December 31, 2015 when Otto and other members of the travel agency and tour guide went to Pyongyang's Kim Sung-tu Square to watch the New Year's Eve fireworks. They also enjoyed North Korean beer together and had a very special New Year's Eve night. The next day, Otto, with his curiosity creeping in, quietly came to the hotel's 5th floor. If he just went to the hotel's 5th floor to look around, things probably will not become so bad, but he tried to steal something on the 5th floor. A propaganda poster with a slogan on it said that we strongly support the patriotic feelings of General Kim Jong-un. In the United States, you might think it's not a big deal to steal a poster. At most, it's just fine, but Otto didn't realize that he was in an extremely rigorous country at that time, and the people there believe in their national leaders as gods. So theft or defacement of any item bearing the name of or portrait of a national leader is a very serious crime. The next day, January 2, the tour came as originally planned Pyongyang Sunan International Airport, ready to take the flight back. Just Otto's security checks when several North Korean military officials rushed to give him a warrant of arrest. The reason for arresting him was not because the stolen poster was found in his luggage. In fact, Otto did not take the poster the day before, according to his testimony afterwards. Because the poster was too big at the time, he felt it was not easy to take it, and later he hung it back. The hotel staff did not find anything wrong when they got off work that day, but after looking at the posters repeatedly afterwards, they felt as if they had been removed. In order to prevent someone from deliberately damaging the relic, The hotel staff immediately checked the hotel's surveillance video and reported the incident to their relevant departments. Only then did the airport catch people. In fact, until that time, including Otto himself, felt that it was not a big deal. When he was arrested, Otto was not afraid at all, and he still had a smile on his face. During the trip, Otto had Danny Gratton, who was one of his acquaintances and is very familiar with him. Danny joked, "Dude, we won't see you again in the future, right?" I didn't expect Danny to really say this. Everyone thought Otto with North Korean military officers to explain a few words. You can immediately check back, but seeing the plane will take off, Otto still did not come back. At this time, the tour guide said that Otto was ill and needed to be treated in North Korea for some time, saying that the other people had to go first. So the tour group left Otto back to the United States, and the staff of Young Pioneer Tours claimed that they had tried so many times negotiations with North Korea, but there are no results. 3 weeks later, what happened to Otto was on the news of the United States. February 29, 2016, in North Korea, under government arrangements, Otto held a reporter conference and publicly admitted his crimes. At the press conference, Otto was basically asking for forgiveness from the North Korean government and people. He said that he had committed an unforgivable crime, and he did not know what kind of sentence he would face. At the same time, he also thanked the North Korean government and people for their own treat humanely. But the more you listen to this press conference, the more you feel that something is wrong. Otto said in tears that he had been investigated by the evil US government, also accused the United States of long defamation of North Korea. He said that he attended a friendly United States and Israel church at school and the secret society at the University of Virginia, and both organizations are linked to the CIA in the United States. Otto also mentioned that his family encountered unprecedented financial difficulties. To help his family overcome the difficulties, he promised these 2 organizations to steal a poster as a loot at the North Point's Githorn Hotel in order to combat the work of the North Korean people, attitude, and motivation. If the action is successful, the organization will give Otto provide a value of $10,000 in a used car. If it fails, as long as he does not confess to the church, his brother and sister will receive $200,000 in tuition. Now he to North Korea confessed government. He said his family is now in jeopardy. The reporter conference in the end, he bowed deeply to face the camera, indicate that he is the eldest son of the family. American Time lately stated that Otto's word board at the press conference was clearly a line written by North Koreans in advance, and Otto's family also said that there was no financial difficulty at all, and there was no organizational threat. I just sighed when I see this. Once a family logged into Forbes magazine is in financial difficulties, wouldn't a person like me be a beggar? March of 2016, North Korean government held Otto's hearing, and the hearing to say one of games just fills the entire course of the trial lasted less than an hour on the court. The North Korean government publicly the Yangkakdo Hotel surveillance video that captures images in the video. You can indeed see a man take down the poster on the wall, but the quality of the video is very unclear, and they can see the man's face. North Korea said that Otto's fingerprints were found on the poster, plus the testimony of the hotel staff. Otto was sentenced to 15 years of re-education through labor. You heard it right. Just stealing a poster would be sentenced in prison for 15 years sounds unbelievable, but nothing is impossible in North Korea. The US State Department stated that North Korea detained Otto for political reasons. At that time, many people believed that North Korea detained American citizens in order to have a bigger bargaining chip in future negotiations with the United States. In the United States, Otto's parents can say that they tried all the possible way with hopes to rescue their son from North Korea, but their efforts went to nothing. Until June 12, 2017, North Korea's government was willing to release Otto. The reason is that Otto had already lapsed into a deep coma after the fact, as the North Korean government admitted that shortly after the verdict issued, Otto had been in a coma. As for what he experienced in North Korea and why he was in coma, no one knows so far. Obviously, the North Korean government does not allow an American citizen to die on their own land, which will undoubtedly lead to greater disputes between the two countries. The North Korean government charged Trump a bill of $1 million, saying that it was for Otto's medical expenses during his coma. It was necessary for Trump to sign this bill before releasing it. In the end, if Trump gave money, it is unknown. After a week, Otto died in his home back in the US on June 19, 2017. Forensic autopsy report noted that Otto suffered trauma, unexplained deaths a year before, while the cause of death was chronic brain ischemia and hypoxia caused by concurrent disease. He has two teeth that are obviously loose, and there are some scars and bruises on his body. But because the trauma on the body is not serious, it cannot be ruled out that it was left during the treatment. In the face of such an autopsy report, the Pyongyang's government's position was that Otto would be comatose because he was poisoned by food and then cause an infection with botulinum, thus taking sleeping pills would cause a long-term coma. As for what Otto has experienced in the North Korean labor camp, it may forever become an unsolved mystery, but according to Pei Junho, an American-Korean missionary who was sentenced to 15 years in prison and hard labor and later released, North Korea's labor camp is inhumane treatment. In the first month of imprisonment, Pei Junho basically received an interrogation from 8 to 10 every morning and was forced to write hundreds of pages of confession. After that, he lost weight in 2 years of re-education. He lost 27 kilograms and suffered from both psychological and physical torture, and Pei Junho was allowed to be released back to the United States only when his physical condition was extremely bad. Otto's parents, who lost their beloved son, filed a compensation of $1.1 billion with the Korean government, accusing the North Korean government of ill treatment and murder of their son. The Young Pioneer Tourist Travel Agency no longer accepts applications to represent American tourists to North Korea after Otto's death. The U.S. State Department also warned American citizens that if they want to travel to North Korea, they have to make a will and arrange a funeral before they depart. In fact, the U.S. government from first day of September 2017 issued a ban on U.S. citizens to North Korea travel. North Korea has basically become the country that U.S. citizens cannot go. We live in an open, free speech and legal environment. It is difficult to imagine a country that has no freedom of speech, no legal system, no human rights, and life and death can only be grasped in the hands of those in power. Now, some countries are retreating towards controlling speech and depriving human rights. Is there really only North Korea in the world? What about West Korea? The West Korea more bigger than North Korea. The technology and economy has more advanced knowledge on science and technology. The freedom of speech also is not allowed. What are your thoughts about the Otto Warmbier case? Leave your comments down below and let's discuss. If you like more of these videos, don't forget to click the subscribe button so we can see you next time. Bye!